1, 2, 3, hit it! Good evening and welcome to the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show, the first of 3 episodes this week for your week 3. All in the name of Picks and Lanyards, which sounds like a board game the way that came out of my mouth. From the makers of Chutes and Ladders comes Picks and Lanyards. Anyway, we better lower the volume on the fight song, the Oregon Ducks fight song that is. And good evening to you all. I am Brandon Rutherman, the one-man wrecking crew of the whole SSKS operation. Now that I think about it, that sounds like a ship. The SSKS. It's going down! Yes, it is. It's going down. 3 times this week. We got picks to be made, lanyards to be worn, and we got it all covered, spread out over, well, basically 3 days worth of picks over 4 days. Beginning tonight, we don't have that many picks to provide you for this first installment, but we do have all the non-lanyard selections for Saturday's games Friday. And then come Saturday, we hit the road for a little 3-mile hike from my humble abode where I'm sitting in to the football stadium that is now my stomping ground. That is Cameron Stadium in the heart of downtown Washington, Pennsylvania, where the W&J Presidents have their home opener against Westminster. W&J will be going into this game having beaten their previous 2 opponents by a combined score of 93-7, but make no mistake, this is the first important test of the season against a Westminster team that has given us problems in the past. So it is imperative that on a weekend where not only is it Hall of Fame weekend at W&J, but it's also my first visit to Cameron this year. We had it circled since it was announced a couple of months ago. Make no mistake about it, the loudest voice in the place will be me, hands down. There ain't no ifs, buts, or maybes about it, and certainly no BS coming from BR. I bring it. Will you? It's imperative. It is imperative. I'll prove it to you on Saturday. Trust me. Anyway, just so you know, once again we have picks to be made and lanyards to be worn, beginning with only 4 lanyard selections tonight. I don't know how many of the non-lanyards we have because I have yet to write them down on the index card, but I'll do that first thing in the morning before I start my actual workday at W&J. But I do know this, come Saturday, the nationally televised games will all get the lanyard treatments from those who I pick. There will be 25 lanyard games in all. And we have now designated a special feature that I like to refer to as the big one. For the ESPN folks, it's Colorado State and Colorado. We already know the outcome before the kick. The folks at Fox, I believe, have Penn State and Illinois. Doesn't have the star power element to it. And on top of that, Urban Meyer shouldn't even have a job right now. So who am I picking as my big one? The answer is very simple, folks. You know, when I revamped this show and gave it a new name and a new format and all that stuff, you know, we wanted to have something very much like the game day and the big noon kickoffs like to have. It would be easy for me to go to a campus and pick the home team, Or do what Lee Corso did last week. Be the brave old soul that he is and pick the enemy. And he was right. He picked Texas to beat Alabama. Alabama, incidentally, was one of 5 losses that I had in my lanyard picks last week. One of 5. I was 25-5 last week in my lanyard picks. I don't remember all of the teams, but Alabama was definitely one of them. So, the big one this week is Pitt and West Virginia. The backstory behind it will come on Saturday at Cameron. So, and to make things all the more interesting, I am taking both lanyards with me to the game. It's going to be like a game time decision. The kickoff won't be until 7:30 Saturday night, but I must tell you, the suspense is even killing me because I haven't decided on who to pick yet. And neither team has really done anything to help their cases to persuade me to pick their teams. But I will, once we cross that bridge, I'll let you know. I will. And we'll get on with it. So anyway, to make the long story short, 25 lanyard selections this Saturday, and we already got the Week 4 lineup all set. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a couple bombs on you while we get to it. There will be 26 lanyard selections for Week 4, which will also be at Cameron. And that's, thankfully, W&J doing back-to-back home games. So September 23rd, while I'm at Cameron, as W&J hosts Teal College, we have not one but 2 big ones. Ohio State and Notre Dame, and Colorado and Oregon. There you have it, folks. We're all ready for Week 4, but we got to take care of Week 3 first. And we're going to start things with a matchup that now has opened up a little bit of a controversy of sorts in terms of making picks involving teams that you don't have lanyards or helmets for. And this goes back to the first week of the season. Pitt played Wofford, and the ACC network broadcasted the game. But I didn't make a pick for that. And now here it is, 2 weeks later, and we have Bethune-Cookman playing Miami. And that too is on the ACC network. So, in essence, you could say that I may have dropped the ball by not designating Wofford and Pitt as one of those lanyard selections. But much like Wofford, Bethune-Cookman, I don't have a lanyard for either of those teams. So, to make the long story short, here I go again for the 3rd week in a row wearing the Miami Hurricanes. And you know something else? Miami's playing Temple next week, so I may end up going a perfect 4 for 4 in picking the Canes. Something tells me I may have jinxed myself into becoming a Canes fan. All because of that promo I did before the season started. You know, the whole turnover chain thing. Oh, and by the way, before I continue, I hate nylon lanyards already. This is nylon. They're not the greatest lanyards to wear unless it's wintertime and you got a hoodie on. And on top of that, I only have one side. One side. For the love of God, give me the 2-tone color ones, or one solid color with your school name and your team's nickname on both sides of the damn lanyard. It's polyester for me, baby. Okay? I'll take polyester over nylon any day. I originally was going to talk about this on Saturday, but had to get that out of the way. Anyway. So Miami over Bethune-Cookman. Sorry, Pitt. I forgot to pick you guys. But will I pick you on Saturday? Stay tuned. Moving right along. I believe we have Memphis hosting Navy, and that is on Thursday night. Memphis always strikes me as a team that you could almost count on every year as being one that goes to a bowl game. They always put good teams out every year. They always end up in a bowl game. And I think because of the fact they're playing at home, I think what run of luck they have is going to continue. So I'm going to go with Memphis at home to beat Navy. Which now brings us to the Friday slate. Now we have Maryland hosting Virginia. And Virginia will not win this one. I got too much faith in Mr. Tagovailoa running the show at Maryland. And I'm still kind of baffled at the fact that Maryland was down 14-0 to Charlotte last Saturday in a game that still blows my mind that it was televised on NBC. I don't know if Charlotte was ever on television for anything before that game, but it happened. This time around, though, I'm going to take the Terrapins. And the only question I have for Maryland is, when will you be breaking out those brand spanking new black lids with the Terps name on the sides? They be looking badass. Finally, we had already talked about the Naval Academy. Army is visiting Texas San Antonio, the Road Runners. And it is a very unique honor and privilege to be wearing the colors of UTSA. I will say that. They got a win over Houston just last week. Or no, 2 weeks ago. I'm still thinking about Houston getting upset by Rice. How you like it now, Hoagie? Houston, by the way, hosting TCU. That's one of the lanyard games we got on Saturday. We're going to go. I'll tell you what we'll do before we sign off. There's one other game that's going on Friday night, but it's not on any channel that I know of. And I was kind of disappointed that it's not on television. I would like to see at least a series or two of Utah State and Air Force. I'm starting to warm up to Mountain West football. We're seeing more of it now. Obviously, you see Boise State, you see Wyoming. It's great to see Wyoming a couple weeks ago. San Diego State's been on a couple of times. Colorado State's going to be on Saturday against Colorado. And I'm sure there's some other ones, but Utah State is playing Air Force. I can't bet against Air Force, not with the way they run their offense. And it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one. Utah State has proven that they can play with anybody in college football. Just ask Iowa. But conference play is opening up for them, and Air Force will take that first step towards putting themselves in a position where, well, who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? They don't have to worry about records. When it comes to the service academies, they all go on the helmet tree, regardless of record. Army, Navy, Air Force, all three of them, they go on the helmet tree. So, take Air Force over Utah State. Now, here's the lineup for Saturday. When we go to Cameron, These will be the games that I'll be picking from. Florida State and Boston College. Louisville and Indiana. Penn State at Illinois. LSU and Mississippi State. Georgia Southern and Wisconsin. North Dakota and Boise State. That's all in the 12 noon window. Yes, North Dakota and Boise State are going to be up bright and early at 10 o'clock. I believe it's 10 o'clock Boise time, I think. In the 3:30 window, Northwestern and Duke, South Carolina and Georgia, Virginia Tech and Rutgers, Alabama and South Florida, Western Michigan and Iowa, San Diego State and Oregon State, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Oklahoma and Tulsa. The last two were just added last night. I believe Minnesota and North Carolina is on ESPN, and Oklahoma and Tulsa will be on ESPN2, I think. If not, just flip the channels. One 4 p.m. game of note, Western Kentucky and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now we get to the 7 and 7:30 kicks. Tennessee and Florida. That'll be a tough one to pick. Northern Illinois and Nebraska. Both of those at 7 o'clock. Then you have Bowling Green and Michigan. Syracuse and Purdue. BYU and Arkansas. All 7:30 kick times. And finally, the 8 to 10 and 10:30 games, we have Florida Atlantic and Clemson, TCU at Houston, Colorado State and Colorado, Fresno State and Arizona State. And of course, as it was announced, the big one, Pitt and West Virginia. Tune in again Friday when I give you the all non-lanyards. There ain't nothing all about them. Tune in Friday when we have the non-lanyard selections of all the Saturday games, apart from the ones I just mentioned that will be unveiled on Saturday. It's a tough job, but I'm the only one that knows how to do it. So there you go, folks. And that, my friends, will put the end to this episode, one of 3 that we're doing here. This has been... There we go. Need some musical accompaniment. Oregon's marching band taking us out with the fight song. This has been the Selection Saturday Kickoff Show right here on both Facebook and YouTube. And oh, by the way, Saturday's live broadcast from Cameron will only be on Facebook. Only on Facebook. Just so you know. That's it. That's all. I'm out.